Hello and welcome. This video is going to go over and discuss the concept of AI-orchestrated course build automation for colleges, universities, and/or I guess public schools. Specifically, it's using enhanced AI alongside of Python to automate course builds. Essentially, it will allow a teacher or an instructional designer to build courses at a much faster pace than traditional building them with the user interface and adding assignments and discussions each at a time, organizing them into modules and so forth. What I have on my screen here is a test course. The build we're going to do was executed in a live class. The pragmatic workflow, the AI orchestration, is currently a work in progress, and it is kind of experimental. In order to fully understand this tutorial, you need to have working knowledge of LAMP stack development. That would definitely help, where you understand Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. You need to understand file directories and server paths and all of that, along with API tokens and being able to connect your client PC to a terminal and add your API keys in to communicate between your terminal client and the institution LMS you're wanting to work with. To start to get into it here a little bit, we have our course. This is our front page. This is a more advanced developed front page. It's all code other than the one image you see here to make things more ADA compliant. Let's jump over to modules. So specifically what we're going to do today is we're going to build out modules 1 and 2. So you've got a couple modules in here, but it's basically a blank course. So imagine versus instead of getting your course files together and then going in and building an assignment and a discussion and putting in the files and linking all of them into modules, imagine building this in a working directory on your computer. So the first thing you're going to do is, on your computer, we have our working directory of ISD Sandbox. Sub-working directory is the ISD Canvas program. And you've got a lot of program files in here. Now, when you first start, you're not going to have all of these files. Mainly, you're going to be having and starting with your source files. And source files would be all of the files from your instructor. So for Module 1, the instructor has an article for them to read. And it's an English class, so they want them to annotate the article as they read it. So we're including a Word document that's meant for students to, turn on track changes and add comments and do their annotations in the Word document. We've got another article on annotating Chapter 1 that gives them information on how to do it. So it's basically all the resource files and things that need to go into Module 1. Then we've also got Unit 1 descriptions document that's basically going to outline what students are going to do in Module 1. So they're going to have introductions, 2 truths and 1 lie, review the syllabus, and then review Chapter 1. This is going to help the AI part of this workflow organize and understand what it's building content for. It's also going to limit its access into where it should be looking and using the resource documents as far as building any assignments, and it gets a sense of what the instructor wants. So the in-class writing activity and file upload, give your thoughts in the article. So it kind of outlines what the instructor is looking for the students to know and be able to do, and so forth. So let me close this, and we've also got the individual AI prompts. And these prompts are to the AI, and it tells them what to do. Create a Canvas page, create an assignment named article annotation, create Canvas discussion named Unit 1. These are specific instructions to the AI, and it also gives it the terminal output for the working directories and everything. So there's really no room for error here. And so in order to interact with the working directory and have it communicate with your Canvas API, you're going to do that via terminal. So you've got your terminal access here, and you're going to want to ensure that you're in the right working directory. So do pwd, and it tells us we're in ISD sandbox and ISD underscore canvas underscore program. That's where we want to be. So I'll go ahead and list those files, so those files are good to go. Let's go through, and so basically when I do this, I'll put all of my source files into my working module 1 and module 2 directories. So here's the files for module 2. I've got the prompts, I've got the details, I've got any type of resources the students need to read. Now this has already been parsed, so I'll basically have AI run through and create these and clean them up. The prompts I'll originally write, but I'll have the AI go back over and make them more AI readable and kind of translate it into basically being easier for the AI to read. We don't speak as humans quite the way that the AI likes it. It cleans things up and makes it more efficient. So after I get done putting all the prompts and the assignments in and discussions in, or if I don't want to write the assignment, I can just direct the AI. Okay, I want students to read X, Y, and Z. I want them to write and focus on X, Y, and Z, and they need to include this. Please create a rubric that focuses on these skill set areas, and the AI will effectively write the assignment and the rubric. The AI will also build these in Canvas as assignments, discussions, and quizzes. It'll also put the rubrics into the rubric functionality of Canvas. It'll build the outcomes if you have them set correctly according to how you set up outcomes in your Canvas installation. This also works for Moodle. This process, AI-Orchestrated course builds, also works with importing. I've had situations where moving from Moodle to Canvas, for instance, I had a few instructors create directories as resources in Moodle, and then put in the description an assignment of what they wanted students to read, and then 5 or 6 PDF files attached in that resource directory that they wanted them to read. Canvas won't recognize that. It'll just skip that and not bring anything in. Well, if every single module is built that way, that's a problem, and it's a lot of work to rewrite, copy paste all those instructions into assignments and associate the PDF files that are attached to it. But if you basically connect an AI backed script to a Moodle API that's set up with a token, and to a Canvas API set up with a token, I was able to move like section 1 in Moodle to module 1 in Canvas, and it brought everything over verbatim. So you can really increase development efficiency using AI orchestrated course, it's basically AI orchestrated automation with Python as your main development programming language and your working directory on your computer. So in the way the hierarchy of this program is set up is, I like to have a config file. I do work for multiple institutions, mainly because I work at one, my wife works at another, so I mainly work with these two institutions. One is a smaller community college in Kentucky, and the other one is a very large. Actually, I think it's the largest institution, largest community college, or no, regular college. It's a huge college, anyways. So in the config, I have it now set to where I can define the active profile. So let's actually just take a look at this file real quick. So I've got my active profile set to the college we're gonna push it to today. You need to have the base in Canvas URL. And then it's important to understand, I'm going to talk a little bit about course IDs. You're going to want to use the course ID because you want it to hit that specific course. and that's what tells it to what course to go to. And then you're going to invoke your Canvas token, not in the config, but via terminal. You'll basically preload that into your terminal so that it automatically propagates that field and can communicate with your Canvas installation. And then basically it builds the modules 1, 2, 3, so on. And for each module, you have instructions in the config as far as what to name it, and so forth. And also you have timestamps. So if module 1 is week 1 and you want assignments open on Monday and they're due by Sunday midnight, that variable will be defined here. And it's nice to have that set up in config because you will have different information for each module. So for each module, you're basically going to have a different function call here. You've got module 1, then you've got module 2, and if you had 16 modules, you would have this repeat. You'd have a much larger config file. Now I have also set it up so that I have another working config file for the course at the other college, so I just switch between the configs if I'm doing development for one over the other. So then in the content area, you've got Python scripts, and this is something AI automation will write for you. You just need to know to be able to open up these Python files and check them to make sure that they're accurate and make sure that it's not doing anything that's inefficient or not logical. It can do that. You can see here that it's basically writing the HTML to Canvas for a page. For the assignment, this is the Unit 1 assignment. This is the article annotation assignment. So that's what you want to see, and that's basically just what this is doing. And then it's also returning module keys, and it's got it's sequencing everything correctly, and it should be setting up some instructional design format within each module, which is what we want to see. Back over in our working directory, so we got our Canvas client that establishes a connection. I've got a couple of backup files, the original JSON file I started working with, and then I've got my union config, an example config. So if someone else, I do this to remind myself how the config is organized by profile, URL, course ID. And in case you didn't know, if you're in Canvas, the course ID is in every URL. It is this number. You can go to the home page and it'll just end with that number. It's 383 is my course ID. That's not to be confused if your courses are built with your SIS system through some sort of automation or templating. You will also have a where is it at here? An SIS ID. You can use that to define. I like to use course ID. I have used SIS ID in the past with other orchestration scripts. When I did the Moodle to Canvas kind of, it's almost like an SCP, but where I connected them so it would pull information over verbatim from section to module. I did it via SIS ID. Then I later modified the script so I could enter course like Moodle, course ID to Canvas SIS ID or course ID. So I had 4 definitions in the config file, and the ones you're not using, you just simply put a null value at, and it will allow you to do course ID to SIS ID or SIS ID to SIS ID and so forth. So that was, and that's something to think about in your workflow and the logic behind your program. So going back to the home page, we're here. What we're going to be doing today is this script is going to build the module 1 and module 2. Now you really don't even need, with this type of course build, you don't even need to access Canvas, honestly. I'm just showing you what it looks like before, and we'll go over what it looks like after. So if we go back to our working directory, I want to make sure I explain this as best I can. I've got the normal working config that we're going to use for today. In the content, we've got those Python files. These are legacy. These are the scripts that this has been the evolution. So kind of like the get repo, if you will, of previous files and whatnot. So this was how it looked originally, and it's just kind of legacy. It's just saved previous Python files. Then you got the prompts. So the AI build instructions. I originally wrote these, and then I had the AI go back over them and make it more conducive to AI, because I would not think to how to put instructions in there, how to add a future module. So it did all of this. It defined the Canvas API behavior, but it also put in everything that my original AI prompt covered. And then each module will also have a prompt. And then I have a reports folder for running a dry run. So if I run a dry run, it's going to tell me exactly what happened in that dry run. So I can see that, okay, it's creating module 1 assignments, and then it creates another assignment called analysis submission. It's got a discussion that's created for module 1, and it's doing the sequencing, which we'll see. I put in something called read, watch, do to organize some modules to make it more understandable for students. So this is the sequencing of that, and then it will go into module 2, and that's basically what we want to see on a dry run. You always want to do a dry run before you run this hot, especially if you're just a teacher working with a token, or an admin who's working with an institution level token. If you're working at this level and doing this kind of development, you should be well aware that you can write scripts to correct courses. It's always best practice to do a backup in case anything goes wrong. I'm in a sandbox shell, so I'm not going to worry about backing this course up. However, if I was doing this for a live course, I would first perform a backup of the course just in case anything went wrong. So you should know how to do that. You just go under your home page or settings. I think you can get to it from the home page. Nope, you have to do it from your settings page. So you go to settings, and you would want to export course content, and you would select not quizzes but course, and that's gonna make sure that nothing, if anything were to go wrong, you just simply re-upload and wipe everything out and reset it back to the way it was, and you're good to go. I do have scripts to clean up duplication. Canvas has issues with duplication, especially with if you're using templates. So I run a duplication script, and that basically works, and you have to be careful with that, because the way I have my script set is it just basically looks at the modules and looks for identical names. However, if you're like me and you have instructors that like to sometimes name their things the exact same thing from module 1 to module 2, it would delete everything that is named the same. So you have to make sure that you look at your course modules area and ensure in modules, assignments, discussions, and quizzes that they don't have items that are named the same. Canvas, unfortunately, will allow you to do that, because behind the scenes, even though it may say class overview, and that's a page, so if I was to create another page and name it class overview, it'll show us the exact same thing here. But Canvas will actually name it like your computer would, copy 1, copy 2, from the original. So behind and on the back end, it does have a unique identifier. So if you're trying to run a delete script, that becomes difficult, because each actual name in the back end is unique. So that's why the best way to do it is to use these, but you have to be careful that you're not wiping out stuff you don't want to wipe out. So we're going to leave it set there on the modules page and go back to our working directory. There is a requirements text. It just basically gives timeout instructions, and you've got the heart of the program, and that's the run build.python file. This basically tells it what to do. And the source files are where you put all your module resources, assignments, discussions, and so forth. So that's where all of that lives, and that's kind of where we started. And once you've finished with this, you can run it, and it'll build the HTML files that it's going to push to Canvas. So you're going to want to make sure you have that token set in Canvas. I think I'm going to I'm not going to include that in this tutorial on how to do that, because if you don't know how to do that, you probably shouldn't be messing with this tutorial. With that being said, what we're going to do here is we're going to set up, and we're going to go for a full run of this program. Now we're actually going to do a dry run first, just because that's the safe way to do that. So you're going to put in, you're going to call the Python, the run build Python file, and you got to define the profile so it knows which institution you're going to do that with, and it's going to tell it to build modules 1 and 2 on the dry run, and you're going to hit enter. The dry run is going to happen much faster than an actual execution of the file because it's not really uploading or pushing anything. What you're wanting to see is that report written. That tells me right away that we're good, and it just created another report file. So if I look at that report file, it's going to overwrite the previous one that we just looked at. So it's in here, and we've got module 1, all the source files uploaded, and it created the Canvas modules and the update pages, assignments, discussion. So we're looking really good. So we can close these text files out. And at this point in time, this is the moment of truth. This is probably why you're here. So it takes a little bit of time to set this program up. And once you have the program set up, it's easy. You just basically are adding your source files. I am going to rewrite this a little bit, and I'm going to basically have an add module script so that if you just add module 3 and the instructors resource files, descriptions of what they want the assignments to be, or the actual assignments as separate document files, discussions, quizzes, etc., that's fine. You can also set it, if you include the chapter, you can tell the AI also create a chapter 1 quiz, 10 questions, Bloom's taxonomy level, moderate, rigor and relevance, moderate, use academic language that's conducive to a 100 level college course, 200 level college course, 300 level college course, and it will create that quiz for you. If you don't already have an IMSC file or a QTI 1.2 file, if you have that, you should be able to include that and direct the AI to import that via the API as part of that module build process. And there may be some added fields in the config file you would want to define. So with that being said, we're going to look at our course before we execute our build command. There's nothing in here. We got our start here module, and then some just a module that's unpublished for instructors so they know how to modify the template. It's kind of not relevant to the sandbox because it has a modified home page. So we're going to go in here and we're going to run the apply command. And as we run this, it's identifying the profile, the course. It's in mode apply, and it shows which user is connected, which is me. That's my name. And module 1 is uploading the source files, and this is much slower. So it's uploaded the essays PDF, the template.docs, the chapter 1 PDF, all these files. And this process is, as you can see, moving along rather quickly. You can imagine why I say it's significantly faster to build courses this way. You don't have to interact with the UI. You don't have to set the settings. You don't have to, I mean, there's some cleanup afterwards, which we're going to look at and go over. But relatively speaking, this is probably building courses 500 times to 1,000 times faster than I could in the user interface. Now, if we did have all 16 weeks, this would be faster, but we do have a completed response here, so it's done. And it wrote a report on what it did to the Canvas build union apply JSON, and it also probably created an overview text file for us. So let's go ahead and refresh our page and see what we have. Okay, so we've got our 2 modules that were originally there, and now we have module 1, and this is what I was talking about by embedding some design format into the module. So students have to read module 1, annotating chapter 1, the article, and the English composition chapters PDF. So that's what they have to read. Then they have to watch a lecture presentation, and then they actually have to do the assignment and post a discussion, and they have to read and compare the LLM generated article response, which the AI part of the script wrote, and then the LLM generated article response 2. And I think that we had this program is running from before the instructor added their version. So there's actually 2 more responses to the article, and they're all named the same, and the students are supposed to identify which one is LLM generated. So part of the cleanup for this one might be is I might just do article response 1, rename this, because it kind of tells them that this is LLM generated, so that the students would know. But this lets us know which ones are generated. So if you want to see this article, if you click on it, it's going to open this up, and it gives the AI generated response. And then it also gives instructional information, and then it's all wrapped in HTML. Now, part of my pro account with ChatGPT, I do have it set to a lot of design parameters, such as I have it defined to set all page widths of content to 1000 pixels, which is pretty much a standard in design. I do define some CSS that I want it to continually use, which is more neutral, kind of like open university style colors and layout, fonts and things like that. So it has that general working, and that's for all the content that I have it built. So I put that at the top of my AI. So it's basically building HTML in my style and design format. So yours may look considerably different, or if you don't define it, it'll look considerably different. So if we go back to our modules page, let's just take a look and see what it gave for the overview. So this is where students would start, and it created this overview. It gives the students an overview, what they're going to study, what their learning goals are, which these are the course objectives and student learning outcomes. It tells them what they're going to read, and it links to those areas so they can jump to it from here. And then they need to watch. I don't think we hadn't done the video yet, I think, for Module 1. We'll see if it's in Module 2. And then it's got what they're going to do. Now, you could make it so that all of these elements are linked. That could be a directive in the script. I didn't think to put it in, but it does give the due date, which is the Sunday of the first week for part of this, and then I think second week for the other part of Module 1, because it spans 2 weeks, which makes this course a little bit more complicated. So if you go back to modules, that's the overview for Module 1, and you've got all these documents, and there is a link to the review Module 1 presentation. Looks like that's not actually correct. There was no video uploaded for this module, so that's something that would need to be corrected in that module. Not too big of a deal, but we go to Module 2 and we get the overview, and in this overview we also get a link to the instructor's lecture video. It embedded that.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Unit 2.
I did provide the AI the transcript to this video and a link to the embed for YouTube, so it was able to understand how the video related to the content within the module, and that's pretty important. If you don't know how to do that, you just go to the YouTube.
This unit is going to be...
I can't jump to it from here, but you just go to YouTube and you click on Show More under the description, and you grab the transcript and highlight that, put it into a file, and put that into your source files, and label it Lecture 1 video transcript, and the AI can then see what the video is about. It can also link it, and that's how you integrate video. And it's important for the AI to know, because it can write quiz questions based on the video. It can really get process-based assignments more relevant and much more difficult for the students to use AI to complete it, because they have to watch the video in order to answer certain components of the assignments and so forth. And this video actually tells them how to use the library databases. And I this is something I tell all my instructors, that if they direct their students to use library databases, AI doesn't have access to it, not even through the API. So you either tell students to choose an article from a specific database, as this assignment does, or you pull those a number of articles down that you want them to choose from and put them into the course. And then if, like, I wanted the AI to kind of consider what articles students would have, I might pull them down and also feed them into the AI, so the AI is aware of the available articles, and then it can assist with more accurate grading. And with this process, you can also pretty much, if the instructor grades an assignment and gives feedback, and you copy that into the working directory as an example of how you want the AI to generate feedback, and then you also specify variation variables, such as only use syntax that is similar to the instructor's predictable word choices. Use the LLM to shape it to the instructor, and honestly, I don't think anyone would really be able to tell who wrote some of the content. That was done for how the assignments were actually written. So if we go to the assignment here, to the compare and contrast essay, this is very much in the voice of the instructor, because it's been trained to write like this instructor, so that it doesn't look like LLM generated content. And then in the next video, we're actually going to use the same concept with orchestration development model to see if we can get 0% AI detection through some of the leading plagiarism detection software out there. So, and I do work with some of the companies, and I report back what, hey, I was able to get this, 0%, it didn't detect at all. Here's what I did to do it. Then their developers can modify the program to try to pick up on that. But that's maybe for another video. Anyways, so what we have here is we have highly developed assignment pages. They look professional. We've got rubrics that are included. There is the points values are included. There's in order to submit this, they have to upload a file. It really sets a lot of settings. That's not to say you won't still have to go in to each of these assignments and adjust some of the assignment settings. So if I go into edit, for instance, and this is really an interesting thing as well, I have Turnitin installed in our system, and this is set for submission type is online, file upload, and it restricts the file types. That's good. So the AI set all those settings. But if I wanted to add a document processing app like Turnitin, I could simply add this in. I don't know if I can define these variables within the orchestration workflow process, being that this is an LTI, and I don't think the API can talk to the LTI, if that's enough acronyms for you. So you would want to use the standard paper, repository, student database, websites, good, similarity report, good, save. So now for this assignment, we have also enabled Turnitin. And just so you know, I actually had to meet with the development team of Turnitin. There are 3 different LTI integrations for Canvas. There's one where the only way to add an assignment would be in the assignments module. So if you go to assignments, it would be under the 3 button drop down Turnitin right here. The other way that a lot of institutions have it is a second type where it doesn't show up here, but under the assignment, if you go in here and you define online and file upload, it will give you a new box called plagiarism detection software. And if that's set in your Canvas and that LTI is installed, you can select Turnitin from there. The current most up-to-date is the document processor, which is more advanced. I had to meet with them in order to gain that understanding, and I'm going to stay with this because it allows you to deploy Turnitin within the native Canvas assignment area. So that's just kind of a side tidbit. Let's get back to the orchestration course build here. So we have successfully built Module 1 and Module 2 with the Read, Watch, Do ISD format, and that is based on UBD design backend model, but Read, Watch, Do is something that existed at the college I work at. I like it. I've also done instructional design for the Department of Defense and military TRADOC type style training, and one thing I really like is that task action standard, and that's kind of what this is, it simplifies it like in a 3-step process: read, watch, do. So it basically marries UBD design process on the back end to the student front end being something more like a TRADOC or task action standard if you have any military expertise. I really like that, and that works very well with students, and we've had really good feedback on that model. And you can resonate that throughout, even in your overview pages and so forth. And then we got module 2, and it took probably 30 seconds once the working directory and the orchestration was set up. Now moving forward, once I set up the add module script within this working directory, I'll just simply add the files for module like 3 and run the update script over the entire program. It'll add the Python files to module 3 that it needs. It'll update the config file with the XML that you need to define your variables for module 3. It'll probably include those as well. You can tweak them. And in that, I can also say, okay, well, module 3 is going to have a quiz, a classic quiz or a new quiz. I would recommend sticking with classic when building via API. The API for new quizzes is terrible. That's the only weak point I see with the Canvas, either teacher token API integration or admin. If you're admin, you have a lot more ability to do things with the API. The only limitation I've really found is around the new quizzes. They just simply haven't written it into the core code, so it's very difficult to do things. In addition, orchestration workflows can work really well for moving large numbers of courses, updating large numbers of courses. You can update template files, you can update syllabi, you can target specific elements within pages if they're defined in the HTML with either class or ID. And again, I do apologize if you don't know what I'm talking about. You do need to have a deep understanding of web development, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Python, LAMP stack development, server, file organization, and so forth. So that's what this will create for you. It is extremely rapid development for courses. And then we have our output from our terminal, and back in our working directory, once you've run this, you're going to have under reports the final. Actually, let me see. We got reports. Let me see where did it say it put that. So just to double check, it says ISD Canvas program reports, build union apply. So this is what we want to look at here. Okay, this is pretty much everything that it did. That's our report, and this is nice because it gives you like all of the API parameters that are available. So you might notice, hey, there's some things I can do in here. I didn't know I could set these settings. You can set a quiz assignment. You can duplicate. You can not have it duplicate. And you'll note that it's also set up. There's calls for if you're pulling from content from one course to another, you can do that. But it's good to read these files and to see, because it'll help you further develop your development orchestration. I hope this video is helpful. One of the main reasons why I'm going to test this out and publish this as public is I would rather see instructional designers begin to do this versus taking this to the next level, which I do plan to do, to basically create a graphical user interface where users can add a token and their course files and just hit build course through a user interface, and everything I just showed you here will happen behind the scenes and it'll build a course. Now if companies or corporations get a hold of this, they're going to try to monetize this towards colleges, or they're going to try to monetize this towards LMS systems as an add-on. Either way, students and institutions will end up paying more, and it's also concerning because this does have the potential to eliminate a lot of support positions in IT. Back in the day, we used to have a dedicated person that did nothing but build quizzes and question banks. With now AI being as powerful as it is, a single person could, at a large institution you might have 3 or 4 people to do that. Now you could easily have one person do probably 10 times the amount that those 4 people did 20 years ago. And so I think it's worth mentioning that you have to be very careful with this. You should not automatically think that this is a replacement for people. Even though this does a lot of excellent things, it requires a real person who understands it to make sure that the design, the files, the curriculum, the content is correct. And all too often when I see people getting into levels of this, they're not reading the quiz questions carefully. I've developed several quizzes for instructors and said, hey, I've generated these with an advanced LLM and an orchestrated workflow format. It is imperative you as the subject matter expert go in and read these questions, make sure they're good. And I've had several times where once students are in the quiz, they'll run across some type of an error. Maybe the AI hallucinated, or maybe I didn't quite cover an aspect of limiting what I wanted it to do, and it slipped by. So it's really critically important to review everything that is output. And so with that said, I hope this tutorial is helpful. And again, you need to set this up properly and have it set so that you're not mistakenly overwriting courses or anything like that. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I will be posting some more interesting ones here shortly in the future.